I have two volunteers with me, Katrina Geiger and Taylor Vanthoff, so they're going to help me out. I was asked to present, and really the only thing that comes to mind for me is 1v1 defense, just because it is so important to any unit. Whether you run a zone, whether you run a man-to-man, this is going to be the foundation for the success, in my opinion. For our girls, it's building their confidence. It's the confidence to go out and play. It's the confidence to want your attacker to have the ball so that you can be the one to make that play on ball. And repping it out for me is something that if you're going to do it for your shooting, if you're going to do it for your stick work, why wouldn't you rep out your 1v1 footwork, right? Approaches, reactions to hips. So we're going to go through basically 3 parts. Part 1 is our approach out to ball. Part 2 is that read and react to the hips of your attacker or the dodger in front of you. And then part 3 is contact and how we play out of it. So these drills, I picked them specifically as well because they are very malleable to what you need, right? I have my cones placed on this 8 and 12 meter where we approach. If you guys sit in a little bit more or you are playing a zone, you can have this approach start, wow, loud, from the middle and then come out to wherever you need it to go. Or if you have a certain way that you like your players to flip their hips, how they force, you can use these structures to teach all of those things. So this first drill, I'll have you guys start over here. I'm creatively named it 6 cones because that's how many cones are out. And our girls see this and they love it. They know exactly what it is. Basically, we're repping out our approach work. So if Katrina comes up and approaches this first cone, all right, as we go from the start to the first cone, we want to decelerate. We want to break down our feet. We want to obviously change our levels and get low. All right, so as she comes up, okay, she's going to break down those feet. All right, one thing here, if we're approaching square, we want our feet facing forward. Big thing that I see with players is they come up really wide, right? But if you're really wide, you can't push off. You're not as explosive as if you're loaded in your legs and your balance. So we use this cone to practice 1 foot on either side, okay? That may seem a little tight to some people, but when you're playing, your adrenaline's going, your feet are gonna widen, right? If you ride somebody out, they pull out and you have to reapproach, your feet are gonna be a little bit wider. So we rep out in a comfortable setting, having tighter feet so that when we're in game, when we're recovering, we've crashed, our girl gets the ball, we have to come back out, we're more stable, and this is our foundation. So we approach up, okay? Good, she holds and then she resets to that middle cone, next person's up. Approach up, good, go ahead. And they do this on their own, right? So these drills, I can do this with 2 people. I've done them at camps, right? With a group of 20. I do them with the middies and the defenders or just the defenders. Good, so go through one more time, all right? And right now, again, I've told them square hips. So we're not working on forcing or anything just yet, but this is how they get that breakdown. Good. So one thing we don't want to see as they're going through is a big commitment up top, right? Because as we approach out, I don't know when my attacker is going to dodge. So as we get up, we're loaded the whole time, we're balanced, all right? It doesn't have to be, you guys can stop. Doesn't have to be a killer, but if you want cardio for your team, this is also a great option, all right? So as we build, okay, I'm going to have you guys each start at a cone. So if I have a larger group, I'll have 3 lines, all right? I'll say go, they approach out. Go ahead. Good, and then they would just reset to the back of the line. All right, one way that we build on this as well is if I say go and I say right, they're gonna go up and they'll shuffle to the cone on the right. There we go. Good, that happens. Reset. Good, go, right. Good. Again, just repping it out. The other thing, I'm doing it as a coach, but if I have the goalies, let's say the defense and goalies need to split while the attackers and middies are working on something, I have the goalies back here calling the force, right? Again, they're just shuffling, they're breaking down their feet, but they're getting used to listening to the goalies and reacting. So it's a way that you guys can expand on this. I'll also have them, instead of just starting low, start in a hedge position. So you guys turn as if, you know, I have the ball, and when I say go, I've passed it, approach up. Good, reset. Same thing, hedged. Yeah, ready, go. And we're breaking down those feet, good, relax. Biggest thing that I've had to emphasize this fall with some of our younger players, some of our newcomers, is body mechanics. How to stand off ball, how to move as the ball is moving around the 8. Something that seems common sense, but there really is no such thing as that anymore. So that's something that, again, simple. I don't need attackers, I don't need balls, I need cones or lines, and we need our feet, right? That's what we do. So we've had, attackers, slow attackers transition to low D. This is where we start, right? We start with the feet, okay? Let's see, I'm gonna add some cones up top. So again, you can expand this if you need to. Actually, I'm gonna start them at the bottom. So now you guys are gonna approach up, and then you're gonna come in on the hedge. So approach up to the cone. So Katrina, you end here. Taylor, you're gonna end at her original. So go up. Good, and then we shuffle down. Good, okay, so that could mimic riding somebody out, all right? If I say you guys are not gonna go into a hedge, after I approach up, I open and hedge down. Ready? Go? Good, and then on your time. Good, and we stay low the whole time. So again, you guys, these are very simple, very straightforward, but it's something that you guys can do if you have 10 minutes to kill. I've done these cone drills when I had like 45 minutes to kill. All right, yes, their legs are burning, but they need to be strong through the legs. All right, if we talk about forcing, so Taylor, come, we're gonna start the same cone here. So with forcing, one thing that I noticed this fall is that if I say, okay, force right, and we open our hips, a lot of defenders are like, cool, got it. And then they go the way they're sending them, and they're completely beat to cage. So one thing that I've talked about a little bit this year is parallel hips. So I'm trying to see. We'll do it this way. So if I'm the attacker, okay, parallel hips would mean that as Katrina comes up, her hips are parallel to mine. All right, but if I want parallel hips and I want her to force right, all I have her do, stay flat, is frame this foot. So her hips are still flat, but if I go this way, she has a shorter distance to get to. If she's open to the cage, I already have a lane, right? She's already given it to me. So this is not to say that I don't talk about opening up, right, or having this angle, but if I have kids that aren't as quick on this push, I have them parallel hips. So for these, right, again, we're gonna mimic that this is my feet, essentially. You're gonna force right on every approach. So frame this foot. Go ahead. Good. Yep, you can reset to this cone, Katrina. Go again. Ready, Taylor? Up on me. Go. Good. Go. Yep. Go. Good. Yep. Good. Go. Good. Stay here, and we'll go the other way. So same thing if they're forcing me the other way, right? Forcing left. Frame this back, this front foot. Go. Good. And again, the idea is that as I take them this way, they have less distance to travel versus I've opened up and let them to cage. Somehow, when people go the way we're forcing them, they still surprise us when they drive that way. That was a joke. Ready? Go. Good. Go. Good. All right, relax. Before I move on to the next one, any questions with this one? I'm going to do that after every drill so that I don't go through like 6 drills and people have questions about the first one. This one's pretty straightforward though, so if no questions, we can move on. Great. All right, so part 1, right, we talked about that. That's the approach. Part 2 is going to be the hips. So I'm going to have you guys set up here. We have one person leading and one person following. This is called the mirror drill, so they're going to face each other. All right, we're going to take the sticks away. And all they're doing, Katrina's going to lead, Taylor's going to follow. All Taylor is doing right now is keeping her body in front of Katrina. So as Katrina shuffles side to side, we're low, we're ready, we're watching hips. Good. She's dodging back and forth. Taylor's keeping her body in front. Goal side. Relax. Try and keep your feet a little tighter. That's okay. So often when we start this is when we start to get wide, right? But we can't push off as well if we're not as loaded in our quads. So, ready? Go. Good. If she stops, reset the feet. Good. Good. Relax. That one sucks. Yeah, sucks. Okay. Katrina, you're going to follow. You're going to lead. Ready? Go. Good. Stay low. Tight feet. Good. All right, relax. Good. So again, that was parallel hips. I've not told you where to force. One thing that I realized this fall as well is that I just needed people to learn how to stop somebody 1v1, right? They're always like, well, which way do I force? Just stop them, right? Because that's going to teach them the fundamentals. That's going to teach them they have to have their feet in front. They have to make contact at a certain point. You know, if we rely on where that force is, I think a force is to show your goalies where the drive is going and where your slides need to come from. But me, if I'm, for whatever reason, up top alone, I just have to be able to stop the train. So that's why we start with that. Now we build to forcing. So I'm going to have you force. You play D first so everybody can see. So that same concept of framing the foot, right? So we're on, if we're forcing right, she is going to be on Katrina's right foot. Yep, right foot. Getting her that way. So the hard part about this, Katrina's going to start to move that way, and every defender does what? They jump right across. What did we just give her? The right lane, right? We gave her that right hand. So if we're trying to get her to our right, as far as she may come this way, we have to beat her there, right? And as hard as she may go that way, we have to trail her, okay? Because the worst thing is when a defender overcorrects and we give them back the middle. All right, I'm going to move these out. The wider you make this, the harder it is. So again, if you're trying to get everybody's heart rates up, make it long. Ready? Go. Good. Stay low. Watch that cone. You can back up a little bit so we're not on here. Good. Stop. Good. Great. Yeah, great. So happy. Yeah, it is kind of slippery. All right, well, first the other way. So back up just a tad so we're not on the cones. Yeah, that way you're just mirroring her. Ready? Go. Read the hips. Good. Keep the feet tight. Tighter. Good. Good. Stop. Good. So the way I build this in and a little bit of fun as they're suffering through their legs burning is we add high fives. Okay, what that is if I'll be you for a second. All right, I'm watching her hips. Let's say we're square right now. She's going to throw up a hand and I have to high five it. So that's me throwing a check. Right, so we don't have sticks right now. I can put my left hand behind because obviously I'm not going to switch hands and check. So as we're going through, okay, throw it up. Right, and she would be moving back and forth. I'm trying to keep her in front. So we'll do a couple of high fives here. Ready? Square hips, go. Good, just right hand. Good, so this is seeing it in her peripheral vision, just her right hand. So that we don't lose sight of the hips. Good, relax. We don't lose sight of the hips going for a check, right? Oftentimes people go to throw a check and they lunge forward, but if I miss, I've just given her something. So I'm not staring at the stick, I'm just seeing it in my peripheral vision, throwing that check as it comes. Any questions on that one? Good. All right, sticks. Oh, will you grab mine too? Thank you. All right, moving on. So I just set this one up over here. You guys probably see it. This one I call arrows. And this is a good one because you can set up as many of these around the 8 as you want to, right? So I've done it with 5. Again, if I have the middies and the defenders, I will set up numerous ones of these. So I have 3 or 4 or 5 people in each line. All right, this is going to work on the hips as well. And then part 3 of our 1v1 defense is the contact. So part 1 of this drill specifically is approach up. Good, so you may start there, right? Go back. Then we're going to work in what I call a drop step. When I'm watching attackers and middies dodge, there's usually 2 or 3 steps in a dodge. So as I'm taking those 2 or 3 steps, Katrina's going to read my hips, and then once I commit, she's making that contact. I developed this drill because what I was seeing was, okay, defenders come up and they want to make a big hit right here, but if she misses, or I don't care that she has hit me, I'm beat up there. Versus, I'm an attacker, she comes up, I want her to commit here, but she hasn't yet. So now what? I have to make a decision, all right? So part 1 is approach up, part 2 is that drop step, and then part 3 is making that contact low on my hip. Ready? Go. Good, watch the water, so that's good, it's just the, go. Good, relax. Good. Go. Good. One more. Good. All right, so again, this one you can make as many of these as you want. You can make it where it's a little bit tucked into the 8 if you're not a team that wants to go past the 12 or go past the 8. But what I've noticed in teaching recently is that the girls want a visual, and so I say to them, all right, I'm an attacker, I'm standing here if Katrina's on me. I have 2 ways I can get to cage. It's this way or this way. And as the defender, I have to make contact at that back corner of the triangle, right? So again, if I come up, she comes up to me and she wants this big hit, but she misses, then I'm past her, instead of meeting me where I'm going, all right, and stopping me right there. So giving them a lot of visuals. Sometimes cones can get a little dicey with them moving their feet, but that's why we do it slower. That's why we rep it out. And again, you don't need attackers to do this. You as a coach can stand up here and step and walk to a cone, and they work on that footwork full speed. I don't have to be going full speed. Another way that we do this is the person that approached me now becomes the attacker, and the next person in line goes. So again, they're doing this as I'm observing the whole unit. Not necessarily I have to coach every single time anybody approaches. And they have these cones to tell them the answer of, did I get there or not? Reading the hips. Any questions on that one? All right, let's set up the next one. So the next one is, as we make that contact, oh, can't do this, there's water over here. I'm just making a lane, essentially. You want to put that one in line with that one. So as we make that contact, I call it playing on their numbers. Where do we go from there? Like we talked about in the mirror drill, we don't want to necessarily give them back the middle. So we talk about trailing them just a little bit. So yeah, this drill is called Zig Zags. How it's going to work, Katrina is going to approach me. Okay, she's forcing right. Okay, as I start to go this way, she's staying on my hip, and then she's going to stop me. All right, we reset. Now we're going in. Good. Reset. Good. And again, you can do this anywhere on the field. I'm doing it right here because this is how everybody can see it. You can do a lane. It's just working on, you can make it wider. Again, makes it harder. It's just working on getting our feet right and riding somebody out. Okay, go. Good. And again, dummy attacker. This can be a defender without a ball. We're just working on staying on their numbers and not giving them the inside. Because again, the biggest thing I see is with younger players, people that are learning, is she's forcing me this way, I start to go that way, and then she overplays and gives me the middle. But if I have you going out, and again, your fellow defenders, your goalies are expecting me to stay this way, even if I shoot this, everybody else is prepared for that. But if I let someone turn back and turn back and turn back, 1, we're just getting closer to the net. And 2, everybody around you doesn't know where to slide, doesn't know when to crash. You know, you're not making it clear to your teammates what you're giving the attacker. Any questions on that one? All right, I skipped one. Yeah? Sorry? It depends on who we have dodging. She asked, the question was how fast. When we're doing this stuff, again, maybe I don't want to kill the defenders, so it can be a little bit more of the defender going full speed, the attacker's going slower. But as we start to build up in that time slot, I'll be saying, okay, go full speed. And usually with that, I'd have to make it a wider space. Good? All right. So the next one is a little bit of this contact as well. I call this Hugh's football because I got it from YouTube, Hugh's football. I like the football model because they can't always go full speed. They can't always go full throttle. People get hurt. They just can't sustain that. So again, when you're doing a defensive individual or you only have the defenders and middies, they need to wrap their head around the fact that they may not be going full speed the whole time, but they can still get the fundamental footwork out of it. So we talk about this just like we did in the mirror drill. Another way to teach is if Katrina is committing to forcing me right, all right, I'm going to shuffle twice this way, and she has to stay over here, right? Because again, we talked about if ever the goalie's saying force right, and I go like this, she can't give up on that force. So every time we go, the attacker shuffles twice this way and then tries to break that lane, right? Tries to get through that gate. And all they work on is holding that force, not letting me get there, and then closing the gap. Couple reps. Yep, same thing. Ready? Good. That discipline to stay on that angle. Let's do the other side. Good. So 2 shuffles this way, stay on my back foot. Good. Approach up, don't let me out. All right, so that's the Q's football drill. Any questions on that one? Again, very simple, but this is what the girls need to feel confident. They need to rep it out. You have to show them physically. Like, I use the attacker's feet so much. If I want her to go this way, you got to cut this off, right? If I'm flat, our feet are facing up. If I'm angled, okay, our top foot shows us if I attack this foot, she needs to come up, follow that foot, right? If I go the way she's sending me, she follows her back foot, wherever they're pointing. So we use those cues on the field a ton. Any questions on that one? This is going faster than I thought. All right, the next drill will be live. I'm not going to make them go live, but this is another way that we build up. Okay, keep it interesting with 1v1s. We do a ton of 1v1s, and you know, that's just, it's from crease, it's from the elbow. All right, this one's a little bit different though. It works on breaking down your feet. It works on recovery. It works on getting your eyes to the hips. So on the whistle, the attacker has to round this cone and get a pass, and the defender touches the 8 and approaches up. So if I said go, Taylor comes up, gets the pass, good. Katrina works on breaking down. Now again, in this, you can tell them every time they're forcing right. You can have the goalie standing in the net, telling them where to force each time. Biggest things for our defenders as they're doing this, as Katrina touches that 8 meter, the first thing that has to get around are her eyes, right? She has to get up, figure out where Taylor is. She could have maybe moved, all right? This mimics a crash as well. A lot of times, you know, a drive comes, we crash to the middle, the ball gets passed out, now we're in a 1v1, just like that. Our role has changed. So we gotta get our eyes around, we gotta get our feet set. When I'm teaching a recovery 1v1, I usually say cut one thing off, right? So if you're 20 yards away from her and she's going full steam ahead with the ball, give her one option. So you may not get the pressure out, but you gotta have a hard angle, so at least you know where she's dodging, right? If I come up flat on you after being all the way in here, you got a lot of room. This is what I call a sitting duck. It's not fun, right? But if I at least can get to here, I know she's going that way. Again, my teammates know where that drive is coming. Any questions on any of this? Really simple. Hopefully you guys feel like there's things that you can take from this and you can build, again, whatever your defensive system is. It's all about the reps. Yes?
2 questions. As you're going through the 1v1s, I find like my players get sloppier as the time goes on.
Yep,
so, like,
they get tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for kids like popping players off or pushing off players defensively? Or any advice on like, do you nag them about where their hands are as far as stick goes?
Yeah, so as we do, like if we were going back to the 6 cones, just the approaches, I tell my defenders that their bottom hand should be at their belly button, and I tell them that their elbows should be locked on their torso, right? Again, when we talk about adrenaline coming in, the adrenaline's gonna get them from here to here, which is often times a foul. So when we're practicing in a calm setting, they lock their arms out, right? I also do it without a stick. That usually deters them from trying to use the shaft to get someone to stop, because it's not what's going to stop them. I also ask them, can you bench more or can you squat more? Most often it's squat. Your legs are what's going to stop them. It's not going to be this big punch, because good attackers don't care if you hit them. They're just going to use that contact. Popping them off, like you said, we call it release and recover. So it happens in the Zig Zag drill. So if I'm dodging on Katrina, right, she's forcing me right, and I start to get a step on her, I tell them to release and recover so they can reset those feet, right? Oftentimes if I'm playing defense on you, all right, and I'm pushing her, trying to keep this contact, I'm pushing them to cage. I just say to the girls, you're literally pushing them to cage. You need to release the hands and get your feet right. So we do teach that as well. These things, these little remedies, again, the kids want answers. I just got beat, why? I can't say, you know, because your feet are slow. But we have these little solutions for them so they can feel confident in their athleticism and the answers. The biggest thing that I like them to get to is they do a 1v1 and they get beat, and I get to say, why'd you get beat? And they can tell me. My feet were too wide. I tried to hit her. I stopped my feet. I didn't watch the hips. Those little answers that they can give themselves in a drill, because you can't coach everybody at one time. Even when we do our 1v1s, we do our 1v1s from 4 different spots, and the minute one's over, the next ball goes. So for them to be able to kind of coach themselves through, have those answers as to why it maybe didn't go well or what they can change the next time is what's going to make them better players. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, guys.